The TerraCross Racing Championship heats up today with event number 4 at the Woodstock of snowmobile and ATV culture, Haydays. Fried dough and corn dogs won't be the only thing getting your heart pumping as the top Polaris racer drivers in the nation gear up for a brutal battle on this one-of-a-kind off-road racing course. Huge airs, deep ruts, and challenging corners will test each and every racer as they ride on towards the checkered flag and the chance at an overall championship. So buckle up, it's the 2014 Mystic TerraCross Championship coming up next. Considered the largest snowmobile and ATV parts swap meet in the nation, Haydays in North Branch, Minnesota will provide the backdrop for today's racing action. Hello everyone, I'm Tess Sewell, joined as always by Paul Thacker, and today we prepare for stop number 4 of the Mystic TerraCross Championships. Our race series started earlier this summer in San Diego as Mitch Guthrie and RJ Anderson took stops 1 and 2 respectively. Stop 3 concluded here at Haydays, where we saw course designer Dana Creech's smart and aggressive driving style get him the checkered flag. And Paul, if there's one thing we know about TerraCross, it's that we basically don't know anything.
That's absolutely correct, Tess. We've had 3 races so far. We've had 3 different pro winners. It's just a testament to the top driving we've seen from all of these competitors and the tight racing that we get from these just unbelievable, outstanding Polaris RZR 1000s. That said, I have to say, Dana Creech, you know, he helped build this course. There's definitely some edge there above the other drivers, but you can never count out RJ Anderson. His experience and just overall just talent can't be taken lightly.
Later in the show, we'll see some speeding with style, but earlier today, Paul, you caught up with Mr. Anderson.
All right, I am here with last year's TerraCross champion, RJ Anderson. RJ, you've had a little bit of bad luck, but you've been making a strong comeback. You know, tell me what's it going to take?
Yeah, that's what TerraCross is all about, you know. It's you gotta have strong runs, but you gotta have some luck on your side too. In round 1, I got in some contact, knocked me out early, but we're able to come back, win round 2. So we're hoping to keep the momentum going and keep striving for some points here in the TerraCross Championship.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, good luck today. Tear it up. Hope to see you in the winner's circle.
Yeah, hope to be there.
And here we go, our points in the championship. Things are really heating up here. BC Fought moved into that top position. Quite a surprise. He hasn't won a race yet, but he's been super consistent.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, we've had 3 different winners in all the first 3 rounds, so apparently you don't have to win a race to be winning the championship.
Well, last chance qualifier on the line. Our in-race analyst, Chris Brandt, is down there in the mix.
All right, guys, I got a great starting position. I'm second row, but I'm on the outside. I'm looking for a little bit of a bottleneck on the inside. I'm gonna sneak around the outside. It's so important not to get hung up. A lot of guys are trying to go inside. I'm going outside, get this buggy to the front.
So Chris hoping to try and find his way through to the front, but at the front of that pack, Andrew Carlson. He had a rough day yesterday, didn't even make the final, and now he's got to fight his way out of the LCQ again.
Yeah, we saw him win some races last year, and I'm surprised again to see him in the LCQ, but there's a lot of fast guys.
So tough to work your way through from the back, even the second row where Chris is on this tight track. It's really hard to get through the traffic.
Exactly. This Haydays course has been our tightest yet. There are spots to pass, but you got to set guys up early and be ready. It's definitely tight.
And remember, last chance qualifier, only the top 2 drivers will transfer through to the final, so it's all about second place in this race.
And as in all racing, the start is so important, and we see Andrew Carlson get a killer start.
Yeah, Andrew Carlson really made that leap there, and
Oh, move! Oh, it's so muddy, I can't even see!
Boy, when you're on a muddy track, vision is so important, and Chris is definitely struggling with that vision part right now.
Guys, we got roots in the water. I can't even see right now.
You know, it's probably a good idea to be at the front, then you wouldn't have so much mud being splattered at you.
Good point. Yeah, and Chris isn't running any tear-offs. You see a lot of the guys run tear-offs, and I feel like he's wishing he had some right now.
Yeah, I mean, it really is important when you can just reach and then tear that first layer off on your goggles, and you've got a clean windshield, essentially, to look through. I'm surprised to see Chris just wiping away on his goggles with his gloves.
Yeah, and I mean, mud scratching on your goggles, he's not going to be able to see once he gets it clear.
So Andrew Carlson in the lead over Mickey Thomas. And so far, Carlson has looked very smooth. He's putting in a good race and managing to keep that gap back to Thomas in second place. And you're looking back there from Andrew Carlson.
And this is where we're used to seeing Andrew Carlson, is at the front of the pack. And again, this is the LCQ. They're just taking 2 guys to the final, so you don't want to be in that 3rd spot looking in.
And there's the battle between Thomas and Garcia for second.
Heard something. That didn't sound good.
Chris Brandt still struggling with his vision. We'll check in on him when we come back to TerraCross Racing.
Mystic Lubricants TerraCross Championship is being brought to you by Mystic Lubricants, specially formulated for lubrication domination. Visit mysticlubes.com. And by the Polaris Razor XP 1000.
We're here at Haydays, which is the kickoff to winter.
Haydays is awesome. This place is where you gotta be.
It's like a big carnival for snowmobilers.
You got big tents everywhere. You got every manufacturer here.
There's things going on everywhere, grass drags, side-by-side racing.
There is thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people here. Everyone's here to have a great time.
It's really cool to be a part of this whole event.
Well, the crowd loving the TerraCross Racing out here today at Haydays. Perfect weather, too, for racing.
Yeah, it's been a really nice weekend. Not too hot, not too windy, just absolutely flawless weather.
So Carlson still at the front of this race, and meanwhile, back in the pack, Chris Brandt. And Chris still fighting that mud. You can see how caked he is in it.
Whoa! Belt, just lost the belt. I'm out, guys. Done. Belt.
Ah, brutal. And most people don't know, these things are actually belt-driven. There's no shaft, so it's a lot like a snowmobile.
So most likely the belt snapped or something happened, so Chris is out.
Oh, wow.
How do you think I was doing right here?
Well, that tells a story, doesn't it?
Wow.
He's probably happy that the belt's off, so he doesn't actually have to fight his way around that course anymore.
I don't know how he was even getting around it, looking through those goggles. Holy smokes.
So it lets you know, I mean, obviously Andrew Carlson out front, so he is clean and having the greatest time, but everybody that's behind Andrew, you look back there and you can see he's spraying up all the dirt back there on Mickey Thomas.
Well, and you know, there's sections of the track that definitely got watered more than others, and you know, these guys out there, that mud is sticky. It sticks to everything. Obviously, your goggles, if you don't have any tear-offs, you, just like you saw, can't see through your goggles.
So this battle here for second place, Mickey Thomas and Cody Gorsinger, I mean, 2 transfer, and there's 1 lap left to go. So if you're Cody, you got to get going right now because he's listening to me.
So close, could not quite make it stick on that inside. He's got a little bit of track left. Can he make it happen?
Well, it looks good for Andrew Carlson, but Mickey Thomas now is trying to make his Razor as wide as it can possibly get as they wind out the end of this last chance qualifier. And mistake there by Cody Gorsinger. He's kind of lost some ground. I don't think it's going to work for him.
So Andrew Carlson, this is where we usually see him at the front of the pack.
And they're coming towards the checkered flag, so it's going to be Carlson and Thomas moving out of the last chance qualifier into the final. Great run, start to finish there for Andrew Carlson.
Yeah, he's got to be pumped. He's had some bad luck and tough racing.
So here we see the start of the race, and then Andrew Carlson got out ahead of these two, Thomas and Gorsinger.
And Gorsinger just about made the pass on Thomas here on the last lap, but couldn't quite make it stick.
And that was all it took for Mickey Thomas to claim that second position, and there you see the results. Only 2 transfers, so Thomas and Carlson go through. Andrew Carlson is down with Lorette Nickel.
A terrific race put on by Andrew Carlson, and Andrew, you're going to be in the main. Is that redemption for day one?
Yeah, you know, I had a little tough luck there in the first race. Yeah, it's just good to be in the final. That's what we all come here to race and going for the win. So I got a lot of work ahead of me. I'm going to be starting pretty far in the back. So yeah, just going to avoid carnage and just make the buggy last, put in solid laps, and try and get by some guys.
Thanks, Lorette. Crowd getting ready for LCQ number 2, which features Levi LaValle, one of the most accomplished snowcross racers out there, retired from snowcross. Now he's a TerraCross rookie. He's getting ready for the dirt and the battle, and he's down with Lorette Nickel.
All right, Levi LaValle on the start line of the LCQ. Levi, tell us how day one went for you.
Day one went great. You know, I was able to make it into the final, and I think I finished 5th, which, you know, for the first go-around, I was pretty pleased with that.
Now, how do you capitalize and get better for your next performance?
Literally, it's just making it through, you know. There's guys crashing, banging, bumping, and you just literally have to make it through the final to get a position.
All right, best of luck.
Thank you.
How about that tuxedo race suit? That thing's pretty bad.
More celebrities in the field. The number 41, that is skateboarder and radio personality Jason Ellis, who we caught up with earlier.
My prior experience in racing is I crash because I try to keep up with people who are far more experienced than I am. So I actually got a name at the Lucas Oil Series. They called me Yard Sale. So I'm really trying to lose that name because I would like to be in racing. And I feel like if your name's Yard Sale, it's hard to get sponsors. So I'm trying to stay on all 4 today. That would be my #1 goal, and not get last. So if anybody else is listening who's racing against me, crash. Thank you.
Well, there's some sterling advice from Jason Yardsale Ellis to the rest of his fellow competitors. Great to see him out here, and you know he really wants to make a go of this and be known as a racer too, which is kind of cool.
It's really cool, the personalities and the athletes that this TerraCross Championship's attracting. That's awesome stuff.
And there in the middle there, you see the 67 of Daryl Rath next to Levi LaValle. So remember, top 2 advance through to the final. Everybody else goes home. So this is a hard battle. Wow!
Somebody
Rath
got
gets
in
turned
the
around.
back of Daryl. Holy smokes, that was a crazy start.
Well, Levi LaValle working his way down the whoops. He's out of trouble right now, but not so good for Daryl Rath there. That was a pretty hard hit that spun him around.
Yeah, you know, oh no, Daryl.
That's Rath again.
Oh my goodness. You know, I actually had some conversation with Daryl earlier, and he's been really frustrated, and obviously here you see causes a red flag.
Yeah, red flag is, well, when you've got a vehicle basically parked in the middle of the jump. So we could see that Daryl Rath was moving, so hopefully he's okay, but what did he do? Did he just climb too high up that hill, maybe?
It looked like he came around and caught a wheel, and it just, you know, those things, there's not a lot of room for error. If you make one mistake, you're upside down.
Let's take a look. Wow, he's already upside down when he gets around there. And
I think he was too tight on that corner and hooked it, and it just put him on his top.
Oh, so Daryl Rath upside down, red flag. We're gonna have to restart this one. They'll go nose to tail. Levi LaValle leading them out, so be sure to join us after the break to see the restart of our LCQ. Welcome back, everyone, to Mystic Lubricants TerraCross Championship. You saw the craziness before the break with Daryl Rath on his roof. Lorette Nickel has more on what happened.
Thanks, guys. Well, there is a tangle in the back corner between Brian Bush and legend Daryl Rath. That may be because of Daryl's frustration at a bad start. You guys, emotions are running high on the track, but the driver that may be affected the most is Levi LaValle because of the resulting restart. Back to you.
Thanks, Lorette. So not nose to tail here, actually going for a full restart.
Typically we see nose to tail, but if they don't make a full lap, you just re-rack them and start again.
Well, that's bad news for Levi LaValle, who was cleanly out in front there. Now he's going to have to work hard to regain it. And well, look at that. Not bad for a retired snowcrosser.
Perfectly duplicated back-to-back starts. Levi's got to be happy with that.
So Levi now is going to try and put a little bit of gap on the rest of the field.
Daryl Rath has to be stoked right now. He's sitting in third. It's a little bit better than the last start.
Yeah, sitting in third from on his roof, basically, on board with Levi, and you can see just how rough this track is.
They just, you know, the ruts, that's why you see him sawing back and forth on the steering wheel, because that, you know, those ruts are just trying to put that Polaris RZR pretty much everywhere you don't want it to go.
Everyone working their way here through the Mystic Matrix, and LaValle still holding off the charge. He's got Ada behind him, and everybody else obviously hungry. Top two, transfer through to the final. If you're third and back, you go home early. So these are the two transfer spots. That's what everybody is looking for.
Boy, and Levi, it looks like Ada's, he's made some time on Levi. You know, but you have to say, Levi's, it's impressive how good he drives this thing for only being in it basically the second time.
You know, so he's used to his former life where he hung on to a set of handlebars in the open air on a snowmobile, and now he's got the cage around him, and you really can see how much he's sawing back and forth on that steering wheel.
Yeah, there's really no rest for these guys. It's just all arms and shoulders, head bobbing back and forth. Basically, it's just constant work.
And in a race this short, broken machinery there. Well, that's a shame for Andy Ives. He's out. Yeah, that's going nowhere fast. So he's off the race line, which means we won't get a stoppage in the race. Meanwhile, Levi is still working the front of this race, doing a great job. So looks like he'll be working his way through to the final again.
Yeah, Levi's looking pretty solid up front. He's actually put a little bit of space between him and second place. He's got to be liking that.
Well, all he wants, oh wow, that was a hard section. All he wants is to stay at the front of this pack because he wants to make the transfer. Top two out of the last chance qualifier, transfer into the final, and so far that would be Levi LaValle and Hans Ada. Well, he's not under much challenge, which is good for him, and you know, he's getting to put the mileage in on the track, and that really helps you for the race to come when you get into the final too.
Absolutely, he's had very little seat time in this, you know, in these buggies, but he looks pretty good. Although Ada's right back there on his butt again.
Here we go. Our top two in the race: Levi LaValle, Hans Ada. Top two transfer. So that's the important position.
Those onboards are
it's
so
absolutely
good.
crazy to see just how much jumping they do. There's the white flag. So one lap left to go. And honestly, these two have put a huge gap on the rest of the field.
Wow, I can't even, no one else is even in the picture. That, you know, good for Levi for putting his motor skills to the test here and really, just really racing well.
And that jump, you really don't see how big that jump is when they go over that thing.
You're right.
And plus, these RZR 1000s they're so smooth. They got so much suspension. They're like mini trophy trucks. So when they do a jump that big, they just soak it up so easily. You're like, oh, yeah, that was nothing. But it's 75 feet of jumping. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, I strapped in with Levi, you know, obviously for the last round, and it was awesome.
Here we go. Levi LaValle working his way around to the checkered flag, and Hans Ada didn't want to go either right or left. He said, I'm just going to take the middle. And there we go.
The mini fist bump from Levi. Usually he has a little more time in the air after a finish line jump.
LaValle and Ada transfer through to the final.
Levi with a great start, hole shot. Obviously Daryl Rath ends up upside down. Yeah, causes a restart.
Restarted again, and then Levi gets the front. Andy Ives, though, he retires early. You see that fist pump from the 108 as he goes across the line.
He's stoked.
Taking the high fives. I don't know anyone who smiles as much as Levi LaValle does, but really something to smile about here today. The top 2 transfer through, so that would be Levi LaValle, Hans Ada. Everyone else, unfortunately, is hitting the showers. They get to go home. Of course, our Polaris Razor Power Performer, who else than launching Levi LaValle?
Yeah, he took his snowcross retirement in stride, had a great start in both the original start and then the restart, which they re-racked. And, you know, good for him on his first win.
Yeah, no, if you're going to come out, you may as well lead it wire to wire. Our power performer, Levi LaValle. And he'll be coming up later on in the show, along with Dana Creech, who won here in our last round. Can Creech do it again? Well, I don't know. Maybe RJ Anderson, the number 37, will have something to say about that. Men's final coming up a little later in the show. The crowds are gathering, they're packing in here for our TerraCross racing. We've had awesome women's racing here all series long, and let's take a look at a highlight of our women's race from today.
All right, we've got Sarah Gilday, crushes the whole shot. I thought she was gonna win this one.
And she looked like she was miles ahead right at the start of this, but a big surprise, Jamie Ward-Luberg came from the back of the pack and really started to push.
She had such a heartbreaker in the last round where she broke right before the finish. She was not to be denied in this race.
And take a look at this. She just screams past Sarah Gilday, gets into the lead, and never looks back. Jamie Ward takes the win in the women's division. Lorette Nickel caught up with her.
Some of the best racing has been put on by the women, and Jamie Ward is no exception. Jamie, is that redemption for not finishing round 3?
Yeah, first round was pretty rough, but we came back. I got the last position, started last, and ended up winning.
Jamie takes her first win of the season. Guys, back up to you.
Thanks, Lorette. Great work from the girls all weekend long. And from the ladies racing, let's move to another form of racing, speeding with style, where you have to pull tricks and be fast on the course. Veteran John Getter is going to tell us all about it.
Speeding with style, you know, you can't just rely on one aspect of the race. You definitely have to be involved with both parts. You know, trying to go fast around the corners. If you're not used to that, you can get hung up like Derek did last year. I know it's cool. I've always enjoyed this format of event, so it's just a good deal.
Here you can see some of the boys warming up, getting ready. This is really my favorite. Speeding with style is just so much fun.
You see the flowing hair of Colton Moore there. Checking out the semifinal brackets, Thomas Brown against Derek Getter. That's coming up now in the semis. And Brown taking out Colton Moore, Getter taking out Marco Picado. And they are lined up on the start. Remember, you're racing the course, but in the middle of your race, you have to pull the biggest tricks possible because the judges give you points for your tricks.
Yeah, and you know, as a former speeding with style competitor at Winter X Games, there's two different mindsets. You've got to race, and then you have to slow yourself down so you don't over jump when you're doing your freestyle aspect.
Here we go. Starters got them under orders, and here they go.
Looks like Brown is going to just crush the whole shot.
He is super fast.
Shot out of a gun.
Wow, that was a keen start, but Getter's actually catching up to him now on the same ramp.
Oh, you see just a stock heel clicker from Brown.
That's much bigger trick there.
Getter with a Superman seat grab. That's going to score quite a bit higher for sure.
And so remember, it's not just your speed. You are judged on the tricks too. And so that high trick score, very important.
But Brown is just moving on the race course.
He's whipping. Yeah, he's not pulling big tricks at all.
Oh,
and
the double grab.
Yeah, that's a big one. So Brown's going to win the race, but we'll have to see what happens here with Getter's score.
I can't see it being enough to beat those tricks that Derek Getter had there.
Not really that far back. Check this out. Double heel clicker. But look at that massive heart attack behind him.
Huge. That's a pretty solid whip. You don't see that on the quad very often.
No kidding. So the win here goes to Derek Getter. Obviously the much bigger tricks making the difference there for the judges. So he will move through to the final. Thomas Brown will go into the losers bracket, and we'll be seeing that when we come back to the Mystic Lubricants TerraCross Championship. Welcome back, everyone. The Mystic Lubricants TerraCross Championship here from Haydays, a cornucopia of motorsports delights out here in North Branch, Minnesota. We are back to speeding with style. This is the losers bracket. It is Thomas Brown, who is going up against John Getter, the brother of Derek, who actually took Thomas out.
Yeah, I mean, John was our top qualifier, so he's just hanging out. Just has to race one time to get to the final.
And what we saw in that last round is Brown was very fast.
Wow, which apparently he's picking right up there.
But his tricks, just, you know, they weren't big enough to get him the score he needed. So no matter the fact that he had a couple of seconds on Derek Getter. Oh, what happened to John Getter there?
That's untypical for John Getter. He is a veteran of the ATV freestyle. That's not something you see very often.
You know, he must have felt something going into that ramp. Maybe he rushed it too much or something, but...
Or possibly setting up for a bigger second trick.
Maybe so, but, you know, you kind of don't leave a trick lingering.
Geez.
Wow, that looked scary. Well, I mean, bigger trick, but, you know, massive lead right now for Thomas Brown, so... I don't know. I don't know how to call this one. Obviously, John Getter's second trick was big, but I think the judges will penalize him because of that missed trick on the first lap.
Look at that hole shot that Brown gets. Both his two
He is fast.
Flying.
And this whip where he kind of just over jumps a little bit, sideways.
Yeah, that's solid there, but we're used to seeing John Getter go upside down.
So here we go, and yeah, Brown gets the win, so the speed counted that time, and unfortunately, John Getter doesn't manage to take that third place. So now Thomas Brown will get to move through to the final for a rematch against Derek Getter. We've seen that the big tricks obviously counted in the last round.
Yes, for sure. I mean, Brown has been exceptionally fast, but Derek Getter, man, he's got some big tricks.
So Derek Getter, who, you know, matched Brown pretty well for speed, but had such big tricks. I like the fact that Thomas Brown, he's pretty racy. He gets going right off the get-go.
Yeah, his starts have been incredible. I think he should be trying that Razor side-by-side TerraCross thing. I think he'd do real well.
So here we go. On the left, the yellow quad. That's Derek Getter. Thomas Brown on the white.
Again. Wow. Boy, he just slingshots himself out of there for the whole shot.
He's hanging on, too. It's like he's really moving.
It's impressive how fast these guys come out of the start and then they slow their minds down to hit these big tricks.
And again, a small trick there from Brown and a massive air time from Derek Getter. That's what the judges are looking for, and it's not just a race. You're judged on these tricks, and the bigger trick is what won it for Derek Getter last time.
He's definitely looking like that. He's on that same track right now. I mean, Brown is fast. Whoa!
Oh, one-handed whip.
To a holy grab. I feel like Derek Getter,
I mean, yeah,
come on. Yeah, that's a holy grab's a big trick.
The last time Derek Getter won in the semis because he had big tricks, even though Thomas Brown was ahead. I mean, check this out.
Oh, wow.
Great extensions. I love the fact that he's doing the whip, because it is hard to whip one of those quads, but a holy grab, letting go of the bars.
Big holy grab, big trick.
So here we go. The judges have made their decision.
Getter's the winner.
And it's Derek Getter takes the win in speeding with style here at Haydays.
The Getter brothers, you're not going to find a pair of nicer guys in the industry.
So a wonderful win here in speeding with style for Derek Getter. Thomas Brown taking second, and brother John Getter, he comes in third. It was all about these big tricks from Derek Getter that got him the win, and he is down with our very own Lorette Nickel.
Derek Getter takes the win in speeding with style, and you were trailing a little bit behind. You seem a little bit shocked that you won. Is that true?
Yeah, you know, Thomas is one of the best national racers in the country, so I knew like I was gonna have to throw everything I had to kind of make up for the time difference. But I'm stoked. You know, this is his first time actually hitting ramps this weekend, so it's awesome to have guys like that coming into this and like really pushing us so we're not just being lazy in the corners.
How did you know what tricks to throw and how to get bigger?
You know, I kind of just have my go-tos, like the holy grab and like the no-footed knack. Like those are like my, you know, my go-to tricks. So I knew I just had to do them really, really big. It's a little windy, but it's just like, whatever, get in the air and just throw it.
Great job.
Yeah, thank you guys.
From speeding with style, we move on now to our Pro Polaris RZR XP 1000 final.
We have to definitely give a shout out to the mechanics that keep these things running day in and day out. I mean, those guys, they've got a tough job, tireless.
Yeah, the racers try to punish the machines, the mechanics try to get them back together and put these guys on the start line, and that is an impressive final start list. RJ Anderson, Dana Creech, you got Gust, you got Rath. Anyone could win this race. I think it's going to be a very, very exciting fourth race of the season here at Haydays. Race season started back in San Diego, where out of nowhere, racer Mitch Guthrie took the first race of the season on the challenging track that mixed up dirt and these paved features. In race number 2 on the San Diego Fair track, it was last year's overall champion and off-road future legend RJ Anderson who won the race in convincing fashion and looking like he was back on track heading into Haydays. But not so fast. Course designer Dana Creech took the win over a talent-heavy field here in Haydays on stop 3. So, bottom line, a new winner in every race so far this year. It's anyone's game. The men's Pro RZR final is coming up right here after the break. Welcome back to North Branch, Minnesota and the Mystic Lubricants TerraCross Championship from Haydays, the biggest gathering of snowmobile enthusiasts in the world. 40,000 people come through this field checking out, well, just about everything. Food, grass drags, old snowmobile parts. I mean, you name it. If it's got something to do with snowmobiles, it's out here. But now our crowd is gathered. They are getting ready for our men's Pro RZR final. An absolutely stacked field out there. Hart, what a tragic result he had in the last race.
Running second, got hung up on the tires, pretty much ended his day.
And then Jason Luberg, and Luberg coming in this season, and he really is, he's impressing a lot of people. He's racing fast. You can see he's on the front line, as is Colton Moore.
Yeah, Colton didn't fare as well in speeding with style as we expected, but apparently he's focusing on the side-by-sides this weekend.
And there in the middle of the second row, the points leader coming into this weekend. He hasn't won a race yet, but being consistent, so BC Vaught is hoping for a better result, I think, here. But again, he's got to work his way through the traffic. And when you take a look at this field and realize just how many races there are there, you can see the roof stretching way back in the distance. In the middle of that melee is yesterday's winner, Dana Creech. He didn't have such a good qualifying run. Now he's stuck in the middle of traffic. Lorette Nicholas down with him.
Dana Creech, our track builder and winner of round 3. You're on the third line, Dana. What do you have to do to move up?
Man, I just got to get by these guys clean, not break any parts. We had a bad start in the heat race because the heat got inverted. We had to start in the last place, 4th row by myself, and work my way up to 3rd, so 3rd row. I got my work cut out for me, that's for sure here.
Best of luck.
Thank you. I want to thank Pleasure RV for giving me an RV this week and let me have a place to stay here at the track.
Well, obviously he's performing well because he doesn't have to sleep in a tent this week, but he's got some work cut out for him. RJ Anderson really hoping to get a good result again, and on any day, RJ can find his way through the pack. Daryl Rath, though, the 67, way at the back of the pack.
We're so not used to seeing Daryl Rath at the back of the pack. It just lends to how talented this group is.
And that is a big group of machines ready to go. You see the 30-second board is up. That changes to the 10. And we will be getting ready for racing here at Haydays. Pro RZR final. Oh, almost a little jump from Colton Moore.
A little antsy. Oh, Hart with a good jump.
It also looked like a good start for Luberg, but he couldn't hang on to it.
Hart with the whole shot, Luberg right behind him, and our crazy red-haired friend Colton Moore is in third place.
So Colton Moore trying to catch up to Jason Luberg, but meanwhile, Kyle Hart, look at this.
Clean
Beautiful,
sailing.
clear vision, choose your lines, you can do just about anything you want, but those tires, that's where he had trouble in that last round, got stuck on the tires.
You know, every lap he's making a little mental checklist, hit those tires just a little bit faster than last round.
Oh, Moore looking pretty racy.
Oh,
look at that.
Levi and Mickey Thomas hung up on the tires.
So it can happen at any moment, and I know Kyle Hart doesn't want that happening to him anymore.
Boy, there's not enough to be said about clean vision. We saw earlier with Chris Brandt literally not being able to see through his goggles, and Kyle Hart can see just fine right now.
So there's Hart working that number 41H machine around the course here. Jason Luberg chasing him down. And Colton Moore's fallen a bit off the pace there, so Luberg must have suddenly found a spurt of energy. He's managed to get himself away, and Colton Moore's going to have to work hard now to make up that gap.
You know, and Luberg, he's been really consistent and impressive. I mean, he's right there in the points hunt. He's had a really good series so far.
Working their way through the Mystic Matrix. Kyle Hart still confidently holding his position out front.
Look at RJ Anderson.
Whoa!
Whoa, hello.
Well, that was kind of unexpected. Just popping over to say hello to the camera guys.
Where's RJ Anderson?
Yeah, and again, you know, you saw, you know, RJ was not in the front row, but I really thought he would come on a bit stronger. But so far, it's all about Kyle Hart in this race. I love this shot.
Unbelievable.
The under and over is just mind-blowing. The fact that
Controlled chaos.
You're flying over your competitors.
Look at Creech.
Wow.
Made his way all the way up to fourth.
So he knows his way through the traffic. And again, Dana Creech is the designer and builder of this course. And as we said last time out, he knows every line to take, and he probably can understand the deteriorating nature of the track better than almost anybody.
Yeah, this Haydays track, there's a lot of sand, and obviously you can see how deep these ruts get. Dana clearly seems to be navigating it with ease.
So can Dana Creech work his way all the way up to Kyle Hart's position? And so far, Hart has been flawless. He really has managed to just keep the hammer down, drive it very cleanly. And on board with Levi LaValle. He's just like,
he's done. I thought he was waving to the crowd there. Ah, son of a gun.
Oh, he looks a bit worried. He's trying to figure out where everybody is behind him. So Levi LaValle is down, and he is off the side of the course. Wow, and there goes Wade Moore too. So a couple of guys dropping out here.
You know, this course is so tight, it's really hard not to be slamming into one another. And, you know, these things are built for just jumping and rallying corners and tires, but they, you know, crashing into one another is not easy on any kind of vehicle.
So luckily, Wade Moore is off the racing line, so we'll be able to keep this thing going green as we ride along with Kyle Hart, who's just looking at these parked machines out of the front of there.
After last round, you know he's got to be thinking, please don't let something like that happen to me. Please don't let it.
And here, Dana Creech working the wheel. You can see he's very confident and very smooth when he drives. It actually doesn't look like there's any immediacy at all.
He's pointing, and as you notice, he's one of the few guys that drives without gloves, which is kind of odd, because there's a, I mean, you're sawing on that wheel. Oh no!
Oh, and a problem there at the back end.
Colton Moore.
Colton Moore off the side of the course, pulls into the parking stalls next to Levi LaValle. Kyle Hart continues to dominate in this Pro Racer race. Can he hold on for the win? We'll find out when we come back. Welcome back, and we've already seen a ton of carnage in our Pro Racer final. For more on that, let's go trackside with Lorette.
Thanks, guys. Well, this is a real testament to how tough this track is and how hard these guys are driving. Nearly half of the field is off of the course because, guys, TerraCross is rough, tough, and muddy.
Thanks, Lorette. I mean, these machines are insanely tough, but when you crash them into each other, well...
You put 16 of them on the line on this tight track at the same time, and unfortunately, things are going to break.
So, Kyle Hart leading in this final, and he has looked pretty convincing all the way from the start. Once he got away from the rest of the field, he's been driving this thing so precisely.
I mean, realistically, this is 2 rounds in a row that we've seen this level of talent out of Kyle. He just had a little bad luck in the last round, and he's trying to avoid that, I'll guarantee, for this one.
And then the 525, Jason Luberg is chasing him down. It's quite a big gap, too. That's the thing that surprised me, is just how far Kyle Hart has been able to get away from the rest of that field, especially from someone who's racing as well as Jason Luberg is this year.
Yeah, he's absolutely on point. He's hitting his marks. Everything looks really smooth. I don't think he could be driving much better.
And there you see it, just using that berm to get himself turned around. Nice, smooth driving. Doesn't look like he's under any sort of panic. He's catching the back of the field, and Darrell Rath, and again, how odd is it that we're seeing Darrell Rath in the back of a race?
After how well he did last year, it's just the contrast to this year is just crazy.
So Kyle Hart is trying to hang on and take the win here in North Branch. Will he do it? Well, come back and find out.
Mystic Lubricants TerraCross Championship is being brought to you by Mystic Lubricants, specially formulated for lubrication domination. Visit mysticlubes.com. And by the Polaris RZR XP 1000.
Into the final lap of this Pro RZR race, Kyle Hart behind Darrell Rath, but Rath is actually the lap traffic.
I'm not sure he knows he's back there, racing with him a little bit.
He's holding up Hart a little bit, but Luberg looks like he's way behind there. So Kyle Hart needs to get his way past the number 67 and get himself to the checkered flag. And he's going to do it. He's going to win here in North Branch. Kyle Hart takes the win, the 4th different winner in 4 races.
Wow, and here we have the start. Kyle Hart with such a great jump, basically led this thing wire to wire.
And drove smoothly and precisely. A lot of other problems for the other races, though. We saw the carnage and the vehicles off track. And like we said, when you drive it that hard and you crash into each other, you're probably going to break a few things.
Exactly.
And there, Colton Moore parking up next to Levi LaValle, but no such problems for the 41H of Kyle Hart, who leads it wire to wire, taking the win here at Haydays. And looking at those results there, it is Kyle Hart over Jason Luberg, and then Dana Creech, who fought all the way up to 3rd.
Wow, yeah, he knew he had his work cut out for him, and he drove a heck of a race to take that 3rd podium spot.
But I think a really impressive run there for Kyle Hart. Strangely enough, though, I mean, 4 races, 4 different winners. There is a very, very happy Kyle Hart. Already got the hardware in hand. And now to the points. I mean,
wow.
A bunch of new guys up there this year. BC Vaught, Jason Luberg, Thomas. I mean, not the Gusts and Raths we're used to seeing.
And after RJ's dominance last year, he's all the way in 5th.
So Hart takes the win here at Haydays. He's down with Lorette Nickel.
Kyle Hart grabbed the whole shot and never looked back. Kyle, how did you do what you just did?
Oh, you know, the front row was a huge deal. You know, from qualifying the other day, we were 1st, so we had to start at the very back for the heat, and I worked my way from last and won the heat. So put us back on the front row again today, and
I think that was the big thing. You just get out front, and tracks like these are kind of hard to pass, but if you can run your race and just not worry about anything else but just you and the track, then you can get it done.
Kyle, we've had a different winner for every one of the finals. What does it mean to you to be one of those winners?
Oh, you know, it's awesome. The level of competition out here, you just have all these guys, and, you know, anybody can be fast on these tracks, and there's a lot of guys that are fast, you know. If you're in the back, it's kind of hard to get your way to the front, but if you can start up there, you can pretty much run up there.
Great job.
Thank you.
Taking the win and also taking our Mystic Lubricants lubrication domination performance. Coast to coast Kyle never looked back once he got off the start line.
Yeah, he had such a good run in round 3, got hung up on the tires right at the end of the race, was definitely bummed, and he did not make that mistake this time.
Yeah, no mistakes from Hart today. Our lubrication domination performance. Fantastic racing here from Haydays. As always, we've had a really, really fun time here in Minnesota. Now we move everything to Charlotte, North Carolina for the final rounds of the series. Be sure to join us out there. For Paul Thacker and Laurent Nickel, this is Tess Sewell saying, we'll see you next time.